I think that will look amazing.
We're up today in Doncaster. Stuff like this, it just adds. This probably added out 2 hours to the job today. Right, so now the car is painted, it's on to the flatting stage. Now, this paint came out nice, and it would have been good for most people, just nib, polish, put it out, and you know what, it could have gone into a show. It really could have, it came out nice. Plus also the colour makes it stand out, but it's not good enough for us because I want this show quality. Now, for most show cars, or for show quality paint, we would still flat it down. We would still go probably 1500 Trizact, which is 3000 grit, and then polish. That gives a really nice paint job, nice and flat, just a slight little orange peel to it. We were always going to flat this down, and you can see there's areas here. This has been flatted down with 1200 grit with a polycarbonate Pro Blocks. That's a sanding block. We use polycarbonate basically because it's harder than the substrate that you're sanding. So it's always going to get your paint flat. If you use a rubber block, it'll get it quite flat, but not flat enough because rubber is soft. So that's why we use the polycarbonate blocks. We've got two patches here. What we'd normally do was 1200 grit because it gets it flat. Run over it then with a DA with 1500 grit, 3000, and then polish. That gets it really flat. I mean, that would have been perfect, and most people looked at it and gone, wow, that's amazingly flat. You could still see the slightest little bit of orange peel in it. I mean, that's being really, really picky. But when a straight line was across it, you could see a slight little orange peel. So what we've done, 1200 grit blocks with the Pro Blocks, 1500 grit by hand. This is all by hand with the Pro Block again, polycarbonate block with 1500 grit. Then we're going to use a different way of sanding, basically using Cerakote. Now we've got 2000 rather than 3000 grit Trizact, which we've used for years. We're actually trying a different process. We've gone 2000 grit, then 5000 grit Cerakote, and then a polish. Now the reason you do obviously the finer grades, 2000, then 5000 finishing. By the time you've done your 5000, you can always see a shine on there. It's like a dull finish, which just cuts down on the polishing time, basically. So that's what we're gonna do. It is straight. I mean, it's flat. It's getting that paint as flat as possible, going the extra step with blocking 1500 grit. So that's what we're gonna do. Of the whole car, it's looking great. The other side is done, the roof is done. This is the final side, and then all the panels as well. So yeah, it's time consuming, but that's what makes that perfect finish. So we are going completely over the top with this paint job and the finishing of it. Basically, the sanding down off and refinishing of the paint after it's been painted. Basically because it's a show car and it's my car and we've got the opportunity, so we need to jump at it and make this as flawless as we possibly can. Now most people would just nib and polish this, send it out the door if it was a daily driver. For what we would call a usable show car, something that's going to get a weekend car, summer car, you would literally take the top of it off with the 1500 grit, sand it back, Trizact, polish. It would look beautiful and you'd probably win trophies with it, you know. It would be that good, but we're going to get it flat. Not many people do that, even to the best show cars at some of the car shows that you'll have gone to. Generally, car manufacturers don't even do it either. You've got Rolls-Royce, Bentley, I believe some Lexuses do it as well, and Koenigsegg. I believe, as far as I know, they're the only manufacturers that would ever flat and polish the car afterwards to get that perfect shine to the cars. Now, some supercars, even though they cost hundreds of thousands of pounds, the paint finish is shocking. Honestly, it's absolutely shocking. Some Ferraris, I've seen some Ferraris, and it looks like they need flatting and polishing.
It's a Ferrari! It's a box!
Some of the old F40 for weight saving, to be fair, because they were basically a race car on the road, they had about 2 layers of paint on it. You could see the weave in the carbon. That's another kettle of fish. That is for weight saving. But generally, nobody goes to these levels to finish a car. But that's what we're doing. And there's a few little tricks that we use to get things absolutely straight. Now, the only reason we can get away with flatting the lacquer back to this degree is because we know that the panels are already arrow straight. And I say arrow straight a lot because That is the difference between getting something looking like you're looking into a mirror or a reflection that is all wobbly. And that's why we use the Pro blocks that we designed, the polycarbonate blocks, and always use the biggest block that you can for the panel that you're working on. And that way, we know that the panel's flat, so that when the lacquer goes on, we can sand that lacquer back flat as well to get that perfect reflection. So that basically when you look into it, you're almost looking into a mirror. And that is why we're going to town on this one. So every panel has a curve, you know, so the reflection is always going to bend to that curve. That's fine, that's normal, you know, that's just the car that you're working with. But things like this, I don't know if you're going to catch this on camera, but basically the reflection looks dull. So basically what we're going to do is sand all that orange peel off, and so it looks mirror flat basically, and that's what we're doing. And the reason why reflections look dull is because of orange peel. It's reflecting light differently than the way it would if it was absolutely flat. So what we're going to do is use a 1200 grit sandpaper. Now some people would put even more lacquer on. Now I used the 6050 capsule lacquer on this, which is a heavy lacquer. We put 3 coats on the outer body panels, so I know there's plenty to flat back. Some people I've heard of putting like 5 coats on and then using 600 grit and 800 grit sandpaper to sand it back. I honestly don't think that you gain anything from that apart from wasting money on lacquer and having a massive build-up on edges and panel gaps. I've done it before, I don't see any benefit in it at all. Then after that, it's not polishing, it's compounding. So we'll use a rotary polisher with a compound mop head on it and a special compound from Capsy, and basically compound that back to a shine. Now, first step is the compound. It looks shiny. I mean, it looks really good after we've done that, but there's still another 3 steps after that that we're going to do once the car's actually built. Now that will be the fine polish. Then we go super fine polish with probably a DA polisher, which we're going to go into in a little minute. And then eventually, after a few months, after the paint's had time to breathe, we're going to ceramic coat it. Right, so once all that sanding is done, which, you know what? You can probably see in the background, there's a lot to sand down. There's a lot of panels on any car, but with this car, we've got spoilers, splitters. I still haven't actually lacquered all the carbon yet, but the bonnet. So there's a lot of panels to do. It's then on to the compounding stage. Now for that, if you're into detailing, you might have seen a lot of people use DA polishers. Well, they're great for swirl removal, and they would do the job, but it would take you longer than if you go rotary. Now, rotary polishers, we use this Ferrecla one. There's stacks out there, but I would always go rotary. They've got a faster cut to them because it is literally rotary rather than a dual action sander or polisher. It's going to be a lot quicker. It's a lot quicker cut. For this, we're going to go for the Capsy fast cut compound with the compound head on this mop. You have to be careful. You have to be very, very careful when you're using one of these, especially on fresh paint. It's very easy to burn through the paint, put too much heat into it. If you're not using enough compound or you're not moving quick enough, literally you're going to burn the paint off your car. It's going to tear up and you're going to be painting that car again or that panel again for sure. And you don't want to be doing that when you've got a 3-stage custom pearl on your car. So we have to be very careful, especially about edges as well. So it does take a lot of practice. It really does. I would never recommend anybody painting their car back home, never having done it before. Jump onto one of these full belt and just go for it. It takes practice. It really does. It's very easy to go wrong very, very quickly. For us, we do it all the time. We're used to it. We never have issues these days. But yeah, it can be a steep learning curve. So after you've done the compound, it's on to the finer compound. Thank you very much. So medium cut. So after the fast cut, you go medium. And it's basically, again, just like the sandpaper, it's just refining those scratches. That's all you're doing at this point. You're getting the little scratches less and less. And after you've done the fast cut, it will still look a little bit dull. It's not because you need more of that. It's just because there's tiny little, very, very fine scratches there that you're just refining. Each polish you go through, it just refines the scratches and brings up that gloss. Now for this one, we use a softer foam. That's it, that's basically it. Softer foam each time. Now after that, we could go with the Rotary, and sometimes we do. We'll go for a polish after this one. Now we'll only do this after the car's finished because of course when you're working on the car, when you've got a dark color especially, just dry skin on your finger, if you touch that paint, you're gonna scratch it, you know. So when we see people going up to cars at car shows and going, oh, that's shiny, you know, they're rubbing their hands all over it. Never do that. So if you're doing it, you're naughty. So don't ever do it. We do smack people's hands when we see them rubbing their hands all over cars, because I know what it's like. It's like kid in the sweet shop, right? You want to touch it, it's shiny, it looks great, but it's the worst thing you can do. You're going to mark the paint, which is why after this one's finished, I will be ceramic coating it. So this one, it's basically for finishing, for literally just finishing, detailing, getting the swirls out. That's all this is for. This is all we use it for. You can put different heads on there. It comes with different heads, you know, so you can compound with it, but it takes longer. It's just not worth it. Now, this one's got a 21 millimeter throw on it. So it is, we would only use this for dark colors. You know, it'd be pointless using this on a white car. You wouldn't really see any benefit from using it. Dark colors, something like this, black cars especially, we'd go to this. After that, basically for this, we're looking at getting rid of all the swirls, the holograms. You know, we'd have detailing touch, looking for any slight little hologram, anything. And by hologram, I mean like the slightest little swirl, any haziness, anything like that, the smallest little thing. Also with the cloths, we have to use clean cloths every single time. Any hard dried compound in your cloth, you're going to scratch your paint. It's that critical, it really is, especially when we get to these levels. So once that's done, then we can ceramic coat it, but not for about 3 months. I always leave fresh paint about 2 to 3 months before we put ceramic coat on it, because that seals the paint in. Fresh paint needs to breathe. All their solvents evaporating for up to 3 months. So we don't want to seal that in. Ceramic coat is amazing. You think your car's shiny, put ceramic coat on it, and it literally lifts the gloss levels another level. It's absolutely awesome stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of steps to this. It's very time consuming. For a car like this, you could probably put about 120 hours into the refinishing after you've painted it. So it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not what you would generally do to a normal paint job, even in your home garage if you've got all the time in the world. We don't get to do it to this level for many customers' cars either, but for mine, we're going all out. So I hope you like this type of video. This video has been different to the norm, more of an educational type video while we're doing the polishing and the sanding on this car. Now, like I say, most people wouldn't go to these lengths, which is why we wanted to show you what goes into creating a fully flat, show condition finish to the lacquer after you've done all the steps just to get to paint. Now, we took this photo of a water bottle. Both these photos are taken exactly the same setup. Now, this just shows the difference between an out the gun finish with the orange peel and a fully flatted back finish, which is basically like a mirror. It really does show the difference. One of them you can see the writing, the one you can't, so it's absolutely amazing, which is why I took that photo, just to simply prove the difference that flatting and polishing makes. So we've still got a load of work to do. Next thing for us is to start rebuilding the car. Everything on this car is getting rebuilt. So every nut and bolt on it has been done. All the parts have been reconditioned, painted, plated, the lot. So there's a big rebuild now. We've got 2 months to get this car done. So yeah, there's gonna be more videos to come during the rebuild. So tune in next time. I'll see you next week.